The iPhone 12 Pro is probably the hardest of Apple's new 12 lineup to recommend. It's not the go-to standard iPhone 12 or the ultra cool and small mini, and it doesn't have any fancy new cameras like the Pro Max. Yet here I am with the 12 Pro. This is something I've bought with my own money, and I'm hoping it can serve as my default phone for the foreseeable future. I even traded in my beloved green iPhone 11 for this thing. But the bearing question in the back of my mind is, was it worth paying the extra £200 to get the Pro worth it over the standard? Let's take a closer look. It's hard to bring across how flat the 12 series really is until you hold it. This feels like a single seamless slab of electronics. Apple has really done away with all the rounded edges they've been doing since the iPhone 6 series. It's so flat, in fact, you can actually stand it up on its own, and even the camera hump on the back is minimal compared to what it's been before. I'm a huge fan of the frosted glass back too. Not only does it look great, but it doesn't pick up many fingerprints either. However, the stainless steel side rails really make up for that. These things are total fingerprint magnets and they don't hide it. I imagine most people will throw this into a case anyway, so it won't be a huge issue, but for the caseless few out there, like me, this is going to be something you'll have to learn to live with. Look, I can't not talk about this Pacific Blue colorway though, it's utterly wonderful. If you watch this channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of pastel colours, but this blue is so impressive and so nice in person that I couldn't resist going for it. I don't think anyone could say this isn't a good look. So I'm not going to lie to you, I love how the iPhone 12 Pro looks. From the frosted back glass to the overall flatter feeling, I think it's an awesome iteration to the iPhone design language and a nice throwback to the iPhone 4 and even the 5. Screen-wise, we've got the Apple dubbed Super Retina XDR display, which makes its appearance across the entire iPhone 12 range this year, which is great to see. However, they are all stuck at 60Hz, so you can sadly forget that super smooth 120 or even 90Hz refresh rate that we're all slowly getting used to in flagship devices. I think the lack of that is a valid complaint. I was really hoping we might see it this year on the iPhone Pro Max models at least, but it's not. That doesn't stop this screen from being excellent though. It's crazy bright on here, giving it great outdoor visibility. Colours are wonderfully natural and blacks are inky deep. For a 60Hz panel, I don't think you could really ask for much more, unless you really hate that notch. Looks aside, Apple also spoke highly of the ceramic shield that's present on all the 12 models' front glass this year. This supposedly makes the phone a lot more durable and drop resistant, but I guess I'll have to take their word for it because I'm really not going to test that. The final real change from previous devices though is MagSafe. This is a magnetic circle system built into the iPhone 12 to basically attach accessories onto it. And you know what? I actually quite like it. Right now there's not loads of interesting products announced for it other than wireless chargers, wallets or in-car holders, but I think the future is quite bright for it and it'll be exciting to see what other companies will come up with. At the moment I just have the MagSafe wireless charger sitting on my desk, which works as well as you'd expect. As a final side note, Apple also upped the base storage of the Pro models to 128GB. That's ideal and arguably overdue, but I'm really glad to see that. iOS is still iOS. If you've been an iPhone user for a long time, then you'll know exactly what to expect here, and I'm sure you've been enjoying the new features that have rolled around recently, like widgets, picture-in-picture, and app drawers. But if you're an Android user, I still don't think there's enough here to convince you to come over, unless you find yourself being convinced by the Apple ecosystem itself, which I would argue is the best out there. Regardless of that, iOS 14 on the new Apple A14 Bionic chips runs so fast and so smoothly that it feels considerably ahead of the game. Apple are knocking mobile processors out of the park recently, and this year is just another home run. Apps have no lag, camera processing is basically instantaneous, and I've not found anything to hold it up yet. It's a beast, and you can see why they're slowly bringing all of the Mac lineup to use these styles of processors. They're doing incredible things here. All of these new iPhones now have 5G access too, and they really do want you to know about it. It was all over the reveal and still makes up the bulk of their advertising on their own website, but I still don't think you should prioritize this when making a purchase decision. As someone who doesn't live anywhere close to a 5G area, this isn't something I can even test, but the 12 series does have everything you could want in a 5G device. I've seen a lot of coverage this year saying the battery life isn't as good as last year's, and for the most part that does seem to be true, but I think it's mainly tied to 5G. As mentioned, I don't live in a 5G area, so I've only been able to test this out in 4G scenarios, but the battery life for me has been pretty darn excellent. I'm getting around 3 to 4 hours of screen on time with usually around 40 to 50% of battery life left, which is actually quite incredible. I can't complain at all there. But as ever, battery life is so hard to measure from person to person, especially if you are in a 5G area. Your mileage really will vary, but I think it's safe to say getting through a day won't be a problem for most people. Controversially, Apple removed the charger from the box for the iPhone 12 series, citing an environmental angle, but make of that what you will. Personally, as someone with a lot of tech around the house, it hasn't affected me massively, but for some people, I really think it will rub them the wrong way. Last year, Apple pushed the iPhone camera back to the top of the pack. The iPhone 11 was a huge upgrade over the XS that had come before it, and while there's been some subtle changes to the cameras here, there isn't anything shockingly new to push them further along again. Despite that, photos from the iPhone 12 Pro really are rather excellent. Apple's HDR processing is some of the best out there in my opinion, and colours feel more natural than Google's or Samsung's cameras. Generally speaking, if you take a photo with this phone, you're gonna be happy with it. The Pro models feature 3 cameras too, so we're getting the standard wide, the ultra wide and a telephoto, and I've really enjoyed having all 3 at my disposal again. Coming off the iPhone 11, which didn't have a telephoto, really made me realise how much I missed it and used it. As ever, the standard wide is the best of the bunch, but Apple does a good job at matching them up when the lighting is good. Portrait mode looks good when it gets it right of course, although I think Google still has an edge here with the Pixel series. Night mode has been expanded upon since last year. Every camera can now shoot in night mode, which is cool, although the standard wide is easily the champ of this. That LiDAR scanner comes into play here too, helping the camera focus better in those lower light situations. The real area of improvement on the 12 series is in video. You're getting high quality 4K recording up to 60p, but the main feature of this is the iPhones are now shooting in Dolby Vision HDR as standard. If you're not really sure what that means, all you need to know is videos are way more colourful now, and it's easier to see the bright bit in the bright parts of the image and the dark bits in the dark parts, if that makes any sense. I think most of us probably won't overly care about this, but it's a big improvement for video and HDR in general, and once again makes the iPhone the default if you want to shoot high quality video on a mobile device. So overall, the camera experience on the 12 Pro is excellent, and it keeps Apple right at the top of the game, at least for another year. I entered this review wondering if the iPhone 12 Pro was worth getting over the standard iPhone 12, and I actually think it is if you're looking to boost your storage up to 128GB. I know that sounds strange, so let me explain. The standard iPhone 12 at 128GB is £850, so I'm actually paying the extra £150 for a telephoto camera, which I've enjoyed using more than I remembered I did, a nicer build, which I've grown to really appreciate, 6GB of RAM over 4, an ever so slightly brighter screen and a LiDAR scanner. That's actually quite a lot extra you're getting for the price point, and I find myself not regretting this purchase at all, which is nice. So overall, I'm actually really happy with the iPhone 12 Pro standard model. My advice would be the following though: if you have an iPhone XR, XS or anything higher, then you won't need to upgrade. There's nothing really worthwhile for you here, and those phones are still really excellent and will serve you well for another couple of years. However, if you've got an iPhone 10 or lower, you're going to see some really cool improvements here, and I definitely think it's worth upgrading to. That rounds up my thoughts on the iPhone 12 Pro. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out massively, and most importantly, it means I can keep making videos like this one. Hit the like button on the way out too, that'd be amazing, and I will see you all in the next one.